I do not like ball sacks.
I do not like ball sacks and jam.
Ball sacks and Jim. Ba-doom, ba-doom. So
Now are we live?
we are live.
Of
Cotton.
course we are.
We are news anchors of the Average Intelligence Podcast.
Is this thing on?
Hello.
Hello? Hello? No, actually, we're going to do ASMR.
Get your mask on, Seymour. You can't fucking breathe.
Are we live, seriously?
We are.
I thought we weren't, so I was like, I don't know how long we're testing the audio here.
I mean, I believe we are. I don't have it up.
Boy,
so
you know, after last
what
week's
she
show,
said.
I think last week's show may have been our high point, so this is it.
This is it.
That's it. That's the best we got.
That's the career we chose. One and done.
Well, this is it, kind of like how many people think this is it for Donald Trump, of course, depending upon what side of the aisle you identify as, because we all know things are not things anymore. They just say what they are.
That is 100% the truth.
Subjectively, of course.
Objectively. I object.
To what? The truth.
You can't handle the truth.
That's why everything's subjective now. Anyway.
This podcast is brought to you by McDonald's Coke.
Quite literally. But it is.
Yes.
It is actually brought to you by OMG CBD, which also contributes to tonight. Oh, I forgot about that. What kind of edible did you take?
I hurt myself, Cotton.
I know. That's why I'm asking what kind of edible.
It was a chocolate white cookies and cream.
Laced with fentanyl?
No fentanyl today. From Creating Better Days.
What?
That's the name of the product.
Oh, hang on. What have we here?
It was 25 milligrams.
What have we here?
What have we here? Oh,
I didn't know this existed.
I found something, Mr. Jacobus here. Jacobus Collins.
Jacobus Collins. You know what? I got so much shit, and actually my stepfather made fun of me because one of the things on my Amazon wish list was the I don't even know what you would call it. I guess the anthology novel of all the Winnie the Pooh stories. Because I never read them, and I'm very curious about them. Here's a fun fact for you. Do you know the origin of the character of Winnie the Pooh? So, and I forget the author. I can't remember his name, but he served in the British Army during the First World War, and somewhere I can't remember if it was attached to his unit or a unit that he knew of, but they had a bear. They named him Pooh, and afterwards he went to live in a zoo. That rhymed, and I didn't mean it to.
That one too.
So yeah, anyway, he used it as inspiration for stories that he told his kids, and then he wrote them all down, and
he went to eat some hay. He laid by the bay.
I just may.
His dog's name was May.
Stay, he would say.
Oh my gay.
Oh, how many viewers do we have now? 0? Yeah, sounds about right.
I need a haircut really bad.
It is. So do I, dude. This is bad. But the interesting thing is I'm completely sober. I'm just tired. But yeah, so although it is actually kind of words that I don't have.
Words.
It's appropriate. There we go.
No appropriate.
It's appropriate because this entire podcast is a farce, much like the trial of Donald Trump, and for the most part.
We sound good.
Yeah, we do. Almost like we know what we're talking about.
We sound good. Back to you, San Diego.
They're too busy having homosexual coitus. Anyhow. Actually, San Diego's not that bad. Fuck you, Josh. If Josh ever sees this, he'll know exactly who he is and be like, hey! Yeah, that's about right.
Josh.
No, there's serious.
So random.
I know a guy named Josh who lives in San Diego, and I always give him shit because he made the mistake. Oh, I'm really going to embarrass him now. He made the mistake of telling me that his favorite surf spot is a nude beach in San Diego. And he told me, of course, there are never any chicks at this beach. There's always just this fat old guy who's out there with his balls out. And then after he told me the story, I was like, oh, you fucked up, buddy. You should have never told me that. For this reason, fuck you, Josh.
Fuck that dude.
Fuck that dude. I'm gonna make a short of that. Not even put it on the internet, and I'm just gonna send it to him.
Send it to the internet.
He'll love it. Josh is a really cool dude. But that's kind of our thing. Is I always joke around. It's like, geez, you should hear how we talk to our sales rep. You'd think we hated the fucking guy. Anyway, yeah, this podcast is a farce, much like the Trump indictment or indictment. Indictment.
Indubitably.
Now, here's the funny thing about the indictment, and this is right up my alley, because, hey, newsflash, I'm going to piss both sides off. You're both wrong. We shouldn't be having this conversation at all, and it is an obvious distraction over other things. But because we're playing journalists tonight, we're going to talk about it, just like all the other journalists are. I got it right here. I got the indictment. Now, what you need to realize about the indictment is the first 26 pages or so are absolute garbage because it is the same, literally the same charge 36 times.
34, right?
30. Well, hang on. No, I think it's 36. No, 34. You're right. Huh. So the first, no, the pages aren't numbered, but the first this many pages are garbage.
Where's that dog?
Oh, there's a hole. There's a hole.
There was an eyeball.
It's like a circle.
That was caught live. You're gonna have to find that one and see how good that reaction is. I definitely screamed like a little girl.
So the interesting
stupid wife. Just made me pee myself.
Anyway, the important part of this indictment is the statement of facts. Now, obviously, I'm not going to read all of this.
No.
But there are a couple of things I want to touch on. So this is essentially a timeline of alleged acts. Now, a lot of this is accurate because it is a timeline, but some of the wording is interesting. For example, the defendant, Donald J. Trump, repeatedly and fraudulently falsified New York business records to conceal criminal conduct that had damaging information from the voting public during the 2016 presidential election. So one thing I want to say is I was actually wrong because you and I were talking about this prior. I was incorrect. The secret to Trump's innocence is in fact not saying that it was for the campaign. That would actually get him in more trouble. That would be admitting to a crime. I listened to somebody, which is odd because that's what Shapiro said, and shame on you, Ben, because, well, actually, to be fair, the indictment hadn't been released yet. So
I'm just waiting for a Kelso moment. Oh, I paid $20 for that wheat.
The best thing, and I saw Trump's lawyer, and I think he might be one of the few people on planet Earth that can tell Donald to shut the fuck up, and Donald will listen, at least for a little while.
He's probably gotten him out of hot water before.
They should duct tape his mouth if he's in the courtroom.
You're not going to help yourself there.
No, he's not. So, the main, and this is why I watched a video today from Legal Eagle on YouTube. I highly recommend you check him out. It's a great channel. He is admittedly, he leans left for sure, but he is fair. He's a lawyer. He's licensed to practice law in 3 states, and I believe D.C., 4 states in D.C. So, and I believe New York is actually one of the states he's licensed to practice law in. So if anybody would know, and he is a trial lawyer.
Let there be light.
So here's the thing, though. According to him, New York state law doesn't require the prosecutor to actually name the crime in which he's alleging Trump falsified all these documents to perpetrate. And a lot of people on the right are saying, like, he won't even tell us what the crime is. It's like, well, unfortunately, New York state law doesn't require that he do so, which is a real big problem because if you don't have to identify the crime with which you're accusing someone from obstructing,
especially if it's so politically motivated.
Well, and that's just it. So essentially, I was going to read through a lot more of this. So essentially, Trump's defense is that it all really comes down to mainly the Stormy Daniels payment, although there are other things. What it really is Trump's scheme, and I use scheme in air quotes because that's the wording that they use in the indictment. Without going into detail, which I can go into detail if people want us to, but without going into grotesque detail, Trump had, along with his legal team, an agreement with the parent company of the National Enquirer, I believe it was. Yeah, the National Enquirer, AMI, to basically contact people who had stories relating to having sex with Donald Trump, buying the rights to those stories, and then not publishing them. Now, apparently, and this is where I need the internet's help, I don't know if that's actually illegal or not. Now, the New York prosecutor is alleging that it is illegal because it is, quote, keeping information from the voting public. But my first rebuttal to that, and I'm not even a lawyer, would be, okay, John Edwards and Bill Clinton. Because they both did that. John Edwards was actually charged, and the charges were dropped, but he was basically found guilty without being found guilty because they found all of John Edwards when he was running for president. It came out that he fucked his campaign camerawoman, got her pregnant, and then funneled, I think it was $3 million of campaign funds basically to give her for the kid.
Yeah, take care of his kid.
With campaign money, though. That is a campaign finance violation.
I know that's illegal, and it's not a good thing, but hey, that kid's going to have an all right life.
So, and then what it really comes down to for Trump is Trump had a really bad lawyer, because a lot of this, one of the big red flags, according to the prosecutor, is the fact that the payments that were made to Michael Cohen, which are basically, Michael Cohen fronted the $130,000. The prosecutor's trying to say that that was a campaign contribution that exceeded the legal cap on that, which it all comes down to whether or not they can prove that Trump did it for the campaign. But even then, it's kind of weak.
Well, according, I'm not really sure where I heard it, but apparently there was already a written letter already basically not putting Trump and the $130,000 together. It was saying it came straight from Michael Cohen. Is that his name, Michael?
Yeah,
Daniel?
Michael Cohen.
Yeah,
yep.
to Stormy Daniels, and that the money never came from him. I'm not saying he didn't do it ever. I'm just saying, like,
I don't. That's not the issue.
There's a disconnect.
Cohen's
there.
already been tried and he pled guilty like a bitch. I mean, like a, like a bitch.
I want to go, Daddy.
But so the issue though is Trump's reimbursement payments, or I should say the Trump organizations, because some of the payments came from the trust and some came from the Trump Foundation, blah, 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 blah. It's my understanding that if Michael Cohen had not been a complete fucking idiot and actually drafted up a retainer agreement, then they'd be okay, because all of the payments were invoiced pursuant to the retainer agreement. That was like that's where they're getting the falsified business records from. But apparently the fucking idiot never drafted up a retainer agreement. So Trump is guilty of one thing, and that's having an idiot for a lawyer.
Yeah.
Now, let's be real. I'm going to address the elephant in the room, the ugly, way over the hill elephant that still sucks dick for money. Do I think Donald Trump had sex with Stormy Daniels? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Which is kind of a weird pick, though. Like,
yeah, I know. I mean, maybe it's because it was just like it was right there. It's kind of like a sick gazelle and a lion. Like, it's not going to just leave it, I guess.
I guess.
Even though, oh my God, I heard Stormy Daniels speak for the first time. You're super serial.
She's crazy.
That's a fuck of a lisp.
I wonder how she got that lisp.
Let's just say there is some jaw realignment happening there, and I don't think it was orthodontics.
Oh, goodness.
So, then you say from August 2015 to December 2017, the defendant, Trump, orchestrated a scheme with others to influence the 2016 presidential election by identifying and purchasing negative information about him to suppress its publication and benefit the defendant's electoral prospects. In order to execute the unlawful scheme, the participants violated election laws and made the cost false entries in the business records of various entities in New York. The participants also took steps that mischaracterized for tax purposes the true nature of the payments made in furtherance to their scheme. Trump's argument is that he didn't want the story to come out because he didn't want to hurt Melania's feelings, but the information came out anyway. So I have a really hard time finding those charges sticking because the information came out anyway.
Well, and also, isn't there some type of law or some repercussion? Because if you're technically paid bribe money, hush money, like, I mean, you can legally do that.
So I know there were a couple of other people where Trump, when Trump won, they were basically released from their NDA. Or I'm sorry, no, it was. Hang on, I'm gonna find it. I know what you're saying. There are civil penalties for breaking an NDA, but that's not what happened. So it's really weird. So let's say, well, I'll use Stormy Daniels as an example, and let's say this happened a different way. Let's say Stormy Daniels signed an NDA for her silence, but somebody else breaks the story. You can't get her for that unless you can prove that she's the one who divulged the information. But like if somebody witnessed them having sex and they didn't sign an NDA, technically you can't go after anybody. But I'm going to try to find that, so entertain the masses while I...
That's a lot to unpack here, Cotton.
A lot of cotton to unpack?
Cotton to unpack. What's wrong with it? Ain't got no gas in it.
By the way, that's a short, or it's going to be.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering what was going on. I tell you what, there's nothing more addicting than McDonald's Coke.
Okay.
Cola.
So this isn't what I'm looking for, but this kind of goes into what I was talking about, how Cohen already pled guilty. So this is how part of it's a stretch, because just because somebody pled guilty to another crime doesn't mean other parties involved are automatically guilty. During and in furtherance of his candidacy for president, the defendant and others agreed to identify and suppress negative stories about him. Two parties in this agreement have admitted to committing illegal conduct in connection with the scheme. In August 2018, lawyer A, who was Cohen, pleaded guilty to 2 federal crimes involving illegal campaign contributions and subsequently served time in prison. In addition, in August 2018, American Media Incorporated, AMI, the media company that owned and published magazines and supermarket tabloids, including the National Enquirer, admitted in a non-prosecution agreement that it made a payment to a source of a story to ensure that the source, quote, did not publicize damaging allegations about the defendant before the 2016 presidential election and thereby influence the election. Now, that sounds bad, but when you unpack it a little bit, that is saying essentially that Michael Cohen admitted and pled guilty to making illegal campaign contributions. But that's not really the same as... I mean, he was convicted, but that's because he pled guilty. You know what I mean by that?
Yep.
Which is kind of like somebody can plead guilty to a murder and may not have committed the murder.
Yeah, sometimes it's just easier.
Or so they think.
Yeah, they think it's easier to plead guilty. it
And then the National Enquirer, it says as part of a non-prosecution agreement, which I will be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure what that is, but I'm assuming they agree to cooperate in exchange for not being prosecuted. So, of course, they're going to say that because they're trying to get their own asses out of the fire. Okay, I've almost got it.
Oh, check this. I left the room. Yeah, I noticed YouTube likes to mess with us. They turn our live chat to top chat.
Oh, is that what's happening?
I'm wondering if like there's been times we were going back and forth with someone and there was a disconnect because it wasn't.
Probably.
Oh, don't know. But
I'm trying to find it.
It's the Winnie's the Pooh. I just don't understand how all this is about.
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense.
I may have read that somewhere else, but essentially some of the people ended up being released from their NDAs once Trump won the presidency, which is a part that hurts him because the allegation is that he was suppressing these stories so that they wouldn't negatively affect his presidential race, which there's other things too, because at one point Trump had directed Cohen, or allegedly, which I think this is true because I don't think they've really combated this, Trump had directed Cohen to delay the payment to Stormy Daniels. I'm trying to find the details here.
Do we know what year the payment took place?
Which one?
the payment to Stormy?
It should say when I find what I'm... Okay, here it is. The defendant, Trump, directed Cohen to delay making a payment to woman number 2, who was Stormy Daniels, as long as possible. He instructed Cohen that if they could delay the payment until after the election, they could avoid paying altogether, because at the point it would not matter if the story became public, as reflected in emails and text messages between Cohen, another lawyer, and the AMI editor-in-chief. Now, what's interesting about this, though, is, again, this sounds bad, but notice, this is the way I'm reading this, because it's not saying that there are emails and text messages between Trump and any of these people.
I doubt Trump even talks to anybody directly.
Oh, I mean, I bet they did, but I guess here's... And this is where I don't know, because it's also dependent upon New York state law. Do I think Trump was trying to bury these stories because of the election? Absolutely. Now, does that mean that he violated campaign finance law? Maybe. I don't know. But here's my shtick, and this is what I say to everybody who's like, oh, they got him now. It's like, really? If they had him, why are they waiting until now to prosecute when this was, supposedly a sure thing?
7 years ago?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, and here's the thing. If you had it and you were worried, here's why I really think is because I think, again, if we remember in 2016, Hillary was a sure thing.
Statute of limitations, but the thing is, we've debunked that a little bit.
Well, no, so the reason the way they're getting around the statute of limitations is, one, they've elevated the charges to felonies, Class E felonies, but felonies nonetheless, when they normally be a misdemeanor. But it all comes down to it being campaign related. If they can prove that Trump did this to influence the election, then not only is he guilty, but the statute of limitations is out the window. Now, what may happen, and I don't think this will happen, by the way, but this is what some of the people on the right are alleging, if the prosecutor cannot or will not provide the crime with which he thinks Trump committed or conspired to commit, and thus altered the financial records for, they're thinking the case will be dismissed. However, again, New York state law does not require that the prosecutor do that. Now, what he does have to prove is that Trump conspired to commit a crime, which he'll end up having to identify, though. Otherwise, if you want to prove that he committed a crime, unless it's like a really vague legal definition, which if it is, I mean, that's kind of fucked up. That's kind of that would kind of be like a cop being able to give you a ticket just for, like, I don't know why he was driving poorly, but
like a bad attitude.
I mean, essentially, although I just realized that's a really bad example because there's always reckless driving, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
No, okay, that would be like a cop citing you for being impaired in public, but not identifying if you were actually impaired at all and what you were impaired with through a toxicology report. You'd be like, oh, he was just walking funny. Well, sometimes people walk funny. Maybe he went to prison. I don't know.
That's a stereotype. Not really.
Oh, it's not true?
I don't know. I've never been. Never wanted to go.
If you fuck guys, it's cool if you like to fuck guys. I know friends that can fuck guys in jail.
In jail? What's that from?
40-year-old virgin.
Oh, yeah.
Still holds up, actually. Just watch it. Actually, it does and it doesn't. I still find it hilarious, but I'm like, fuck, they couldn't do this today. It would be far too offensive.
Well, it wouldn't be to us.
Oh, no. Well, people think Mrs. Doubtfire is offensive, but not people whose opinions I give a rat's ass about, mind you, but...
Yeah, because you got people like Ms. Doubtfire doing atrocities now. Just saying. So, yeah, here's my thing. Do I think Trump committed crimes in his career? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I think most people who have the kind of wealth and influence that Trump has commit crimes? Like white-collar crimes. I don't think he killed anybody. He's not a Clinton. Yeah, of course they do. Like, a lot of people commit white-collar crimes on accident, too. Because these laws are complicated and stupid and, like, only exist to try to take money from other people. Gotta have that lawyer talk.
Well, frankly, Trump wouldn't be in this mess if he'd had a better lawyer. But
fucked up, man.
All you had to do, like, why? I can't fathom any reason why a lawyer would not draft a retainer agreement
if he was going to be doing ongoing business. Like, why would you not? Like, when I met with a divorce attorney, the first thing she was going to do was draft up a retainer. And I was like, fuck you, that sounds expensive. But that would have been step one from the initial consultation. After that, then it was like, oh, okay, well, then you'll have us on retainer. And I'll be like, wow, that sounds terribly expensive. How about no?
You know what I got for Christmas?
A retainer?
A broken heart. I can't remember what it was that Dale's dad said on Step Brothers. Like, you know what I got for Christmas?
Yeah.
What, Dad? You wrecked my fucking boat, you goon!
Yeah, so essentially,
I am not here.
the left is alleging that because Cohen pled guilty already, that Trump's a dead man walking. Now, what's truly, because I'm not going to get into the details, because I'm not a lawyer or a judge, and I don't have the knowledge of New York state law required to really do a deep dive on this, but what I am going to comment on is the political implications of all this, because I'll be real with you, left, right, center, Russian, I don't care. If you think that Trump wasn't charged with this for political reasons, you are incredibly naive, because the timing of this is suspect as hell. As we already talked about the statute of limitations, and if they had the smoking gun, my question if I were a Democrat would be, well, if you had it the whole fucking time, why did you wait until we had him as president for 4 years and possibly 8? Where was this?
You don't have it. That's what it is.
It's very, very flimsy. Now, you could make the argument that this prosecutor ran on prosecuting Donald Trump. But again, so maybe he's just trying to get famous. But the argument still stands. If your previous prosecutor had all this information, which they would have, why didn't they prosecute? It wasn't a Trump-friendly prosecutor.
It's because they don't have anything.
Well, they have something, but it's very, very loose. Like, it's very flimsy.
Yeah, Stormy Daniels.
It's very loose. But here's the other part, though, and this is what only people on the right are talking about. And you sent me that screenshot from Timcast today. It doesn't even matter if you convict Trump at this point. You indicted a former president for what I believe are and what appear to be purely political reasons. Buckle the fuck up. Because there's going to be indictments flying, and
everywhere.
It's going to be bad. I said today, I was like, 2024 is going to be an absolute shit show.
And we knew it.
It's going to be entertaining, but it's going to be scary at times.
Hillary, Bill Clinton.
They're coming after all of them.
Yeah, you guys fucked up.
You fucked up big time.
Yeah, hold on. Did they fuck up, though?
Yes, they did.
No, I'm just saying because...
was that rhetorical?
Republicans, your past records of not doing anything when the time to strike, because that's what you guys have always lacked.
Well,
your words are nice, but if you have no action,
I think the reason for that, which this is one of the, I don't want to say a negative thing, but this is one of the pitfalls of conservatism, is there is a reverence for, I don't want to say tradition, but like precedent. And I can see why, especially conservative Republicans, didn't want to be the first ones to break that precedent, especially over something that's not really that big of a deal. Like if the roles were reversed, I don't think the Republicans would have tried to indict a former president for financial records. I don't see them being that petty. Now
they're gonna look the other way.
Well, they did with Biden for the most part.
He's lucky they did.
Well,
I mean, granted, they were all looking the other way.
Well, they're going to come after Hunter hard now, and if they can link that with Joe, here's what's going to be the ultimate irony here is they're going to indict Trump, and if Trump comes out of this without any convictions, then they're going to indict Biden, and Biden's going to get fucked, and then we're going to get the Biden mugshot.
They don't have ice cream in here.
Where am I?
It says some guy named Leroy trying to fuck me.
Actually, you've seen 22 Jump Street, right?
Yes.
Biden's gonna be like the teacher that goes to prison, but he got his dick shot off in the first one. He's like, "I'm your bitch."
He's like, "They gave me a vagina."
He's like, "I'm your bitch. You own this ass." Except Joe's gonna be in there.
Who's that one guy that was his monkey? He's like, dude, how many times I gotta tell you I'm not gay?
That's
Oh, it's James Franco. Or
James Franco's
David
brother,
Franco.
David Franco. Yeah, I forget what his name is in the movie though. Completely forget.
Well, no, like Dave. No,
No.
David.
I can't remember. It'll come to me later. Oh yeah, so this is gonna be an absolute shit show. I don't really want to watch because I've seen some really alarming shit happening. This is obviously a
The
distraction.
media so they don't want to cover it live, and I'm like, yeah, because you don't want to look like idiots. And I don't mean the media, but I mean y'all do that to yourselves. So,
Yeah, you don't need help.
but
speaking of
why wouldn't they televise anything like that live? If the people involved, like,
I think if they did, the country would shut down again.
oh, dude.
I mean, let's be real though. Let's be honest. I think they should televise it, and here's why. Because I think if they hadn't televised and streamed the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, it may have gone very differently.
That's very.
It's possible. I'm not going to say definitively, but I mean, kudos to that judge.
Fucking brave judge.
Yeah, I loved it.
I
loved it when he yelled at the prosecutor.
Oh,
Loved
dude.
it.
That judge should.
I think we're
get a
gonna-
hard pass.
I think we may. It all comes down to this judge. Now, and here's the weird part. This judge has apparently presided over Trump cases before, and I'm thinking that sounds like a conflict of interest to me. But
Depending on how the cases went.
yeah, well, that valid, but well, either way, even if you ruled in favor of Trump, I still think that's.
But those are probably just like lawsuit cases, nothing like.
Well, but if
crime.
he's I don't think that. Well, they might be the same judges. I don't know. But yeah.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
Oh, yeah, brother. I tell you, I'm gonna take one of these bad boys tonight and I'm gonna chew it up.
I don't know why it's all like that. Beef, pork. Did you say salty pork?
Salted pork.
I can't tell you how free I feel now that I identify as a woman. Oh, yeah.
You'll appreciate this because you remember how much my mother just hated South Park.
Yeah.
I showed her that clip.
The
The Heather
Macho
Swanson.
Man. Oh, man.
She laughed her ass off.
See.
She thought that was so funny. I'm like, I'm telling you, Mom, you might like some of these South Park episodes. She would hate it because it's way too raunchy for her, but
Yeah.
some of the comedy she would really like. But then the rest of it she would hate.
Oh, I feel like a woman. Yeah. I can't tell you how free I feel. I'm gonna destroy all the other ladies.
Heather Swanson.
Heather
What
Swanson.
a name. Oh, jeez. Rest in peace, Macho Man.
He's up there.
In my attic. He won't leave.
3 minutes of playtime. Bonesaw is relieved.
Could you imagine? Like, literally, you just, like, look back and then the attic door's, like, peeking open and you see him like,
Oh, yeah.
that would shit my pants. Like, I would shit my pants.
I now laugh uncontrollably whenever I watch Spider-Man.
Bonesaw is relieved.
Staying away from you. That's a cute outfit. Did your husband make it for you?
Oh, a joke you couldn't say today. Because
Fuck
they're like,
you.
yeah, my husband did make it for me. What do you mean?
The funny thing is that's probably true. It's like, yeah, he made it for pride. Isn't it cute? It's nothing. I mean, there's a lot gay about that, but there's nothing wrong with it. Hey, not that there's anything wrong with that. It's whatever you want to do.
It's whatever you want to do.
That's the definition of tolerance. I
If
mean,
you want to walk down the street with peckers glued to your body, I mean, have at it.
wait, what? That seems oddly specific. Do you know something I don't?
Have you never seen like Pride? Like,
Okay,
Oh.
okay.
I was just saying, like they wear like
There's
really
dicks
gross
everywhere.
chase-
Well, hey, fellas, should we take our wieners out too? Speaking of kid friendly.
Does not compute.
No, speaking of kid friendly, this will shock some people. So you're vaguely aware of what's going on in Nashville.
Yes.
One of their
They're January 6th.
one of their I don't even know. Yeah, I'll snap into a Slim Jim.
Oh, yeah.
See, the secret of the Slim Jim is you got to treat it like a cigar. You can't eat it all at once. You got to work on it.
I don't know how to do that.
You just hold it in your mouth like this, like Popeye. So anyway,
I was sitting there
ain't got no gas in it.
smoking a cigar, and this guy came
In your
into the bar. That's a typical trans joke. Oh, jeez.
What the fuck would you call that in the state house? The state Congress? The state assembly? One of their senators...
Trans state.
One of their senators or representatives, forgive me, I cannot remember the details, was voted out.
Democrat, right?
Yep. Now,
I've not read it. I saw it, and I was going to.
There's two more that are up for vote, all Democrats, because they joined the protest, and apparently one of them smuggled in a bullhorn to the session. However, I have a massive fucking problem with this because that is an elected official. And much like that, who's that fucking dork, the Republican who lied about everything? Can't remember his name. It'll come to me.
Any famous bites?
Bites?
Like news bites? Or anything like that?
For him?
Yeah.
I mean, other than the fact that they found out he lied about everything.
Should I know who this is?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I
don't know. I'm fine.
Was it Republican?
Yeah. I'd know it if I saw it, damn it.
Did you hear Robert Kennedy's running for the
I
2024? Did. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, it's not...
Because the thing is, I mean, like, to run as a Democrat these days is kind of, like, scary.
Yeah, he's going up against Biden, though. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, but the thing is, his name.
Well, being a Kennedy, it doesn't bode well. So, if Kennedy becomes president, pay close attention to who the VP is. It's a very bad joke, but it's not an incorrect one.
You don't want a repeat of history?
Well,
the book's suppository. I said suppository, not depository.
Republican who lied about everything. It's going to come up with Donald Trump.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's just...
Oh, no. George Santos.
Who the fuck is George Santos?
Ow. There's like a bone or something in the Slim Jim.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes.
My self-making defense mechanism.
You'll never be able to eat me.
Ow, fuck.
There really is something. Dude, spit it out.
Well,
like a dog. Spit it out.
No, I fucking chewed it now.
You fucking chewed up a rock.
Bone or something in there. Anyway.
It was a boner.
I said it twice. I should have known better.
Yeah, I like the microphones.
Yeah, I kind of like holding it in my hand too. Right next to my mouth.
My mouth. Because then you can like, hey.
Actually, I think it's too good of a mic to do that.
Something like that.
This is double pane soundproof glass. There's no way that neighbor could have heard Predactor scream if that door was closed.
You know, the funny thing is, you can hear through those doors a little bit.
Not if it's actually soundproof glass. You cannot.
I've never heard soundproof glass.
But the funny thing is that was not soundproof glass. Jesus. Jim Carrey did that effect by himself. The whole like. Anyway, fuck. Where was I going? George Santos, that fucker. So.
Los Santos.
George Santos.
We need Grand Theft Auto 6.
So George Santos technically cannot be removed from, even though I think the only way you can be removed from office is if you're guilty of a crime, like a legit crime, which may be what. No, that's not. They didn't charge anybody in Tennessee with a crime. They just voted him out, which I have a massive, massive problem with because, you know, say what you will, you may not like them at all, but like they were democratically elected. They represent the people of their districts. So y'all can fuck right off.
Hard.
Fuck hard. Hard.
Down lives.
Rocky roads. I've been scorned and slandered and ridiculed too. Had to struggle every day my whole life through. Can't remember the words anymore.
It's got a burning will to live.
Live, walk hard.
You know, out of all the movies and whatnot, that ended up being one of the best.
It's so
and,
good.
And it's not even really known. People are like, Dewey Cox. I've never heard of that. I'm like, yeah.
I pissed off my ex-wife so much because of that movie. Because we went and saw it in the theater. I didn't particularly want to see, like, I wasn't like against seeing it. I did not realize how funny it was going to be. I was laughing like a fucking child from the very beginning when they're like, ain't nothing bad going to happen today. What?
Oh, no. I thought that's what she was doing to you.
Oh, no. But what I would do after we saw it, I'd like...
Speak English, Doc. We ain't scientists.
No, but I'd always be like, for the last time, I can't buy you a candy house. It won't work. The sun will melt the candy. I would quote it all the time and just randomly start singing Let's Duet.
I just thought of a really morbid joke.
Go for it.
The dad of Dewey
Uh-huh.
is Biden. And now Hunter is the thing. Wrong kid died.
Wow.
That's really bad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's bad. It's funny, but it's bad.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Bo. I didn't know.
I didn't know, Bo.
I did not know Bo either.
And I will not speak ill of the dead that I did not know. But his
True.
brother's still alive, and he's a fucking cock muncher. And his dad's an idiot.
Wrong kid died. That's really bad.
That's really bad.
I'm not going to say that anymore. Because definitely I don't mean
What, wrong kid died?
No.
I mean, Hunter's trying to make up for it.
I mean,
He's trying real hard.
Could you say he's got the life?
It's non-habit forming. You don't want none of this, do we?
Okay, so
The indictment.
back to the indictment at hand.
The indictment in hand.
Oh, easy. So, let's explain this statute of limitations because that seems to be on everybody's
So
tongue.
a statute to limitations is essentially the time in which you're allowed to prosecute a crime. Once you're past it, you cannot prosecute this said crime. Now, there are some crimes that do not have statute to limitations, usually things like murder, any crimes of a sexual nature typically don't have a statute to limitations. Any of the big felonies really don't. I think embezzlement also, that may have changed. But I think embezzlement, well, I take that back. I don't know about embezzlement. I would think not, but who knows. But yeah, falsifying business papers, I think that's 5 years, isn't it, typically?
Something like that.
Yeah. Which, incidentally, is also allegedly the period of time that you can be audited. But
Embezzlement is only 5 years.
No. I don't think there is a statute to limitation for embezzlement. I could be wrong on that, though. And jaywalking has a statute of limitations of like 5 minutes, so I'm kidding. That's a lie. It's bullshit.
I'm going mass jaywalking.
I'm gonna jay the fuck out of that walk.
See that street over there?
I'm gonna jaywalk all over that. I'm gonna question mark that.
They call me Simp Man.
Super simp.
Super Simp.
T-shirts coming.
They call me Simp. They call me Super Simp.
And a sidekick fanboy.
Fanboy?
Yeah.
And then who was the evil guy?
Giga Chad,
Giga Chad. And
whose secret identity is Andrew Tate.
Yeah. It's like, hold on, I'm just trying to tell these young boys what to think.
I haven't watched the episode yet. I want to, though. So, plot twist. So,
Titty twister.
my wife's the only one who gets to twist these man titties. Death to you. So here's the plot twist with Super Simp finding out that Andrew Tate is Giga Chad. Super Simp and Fanboy find out that all the girls they've been sending their money to on OnlyFans all work for Andrew Tate. And he's like, that's what he's like. You found my evil plot, my evil plan. I orchestrated this whole thing to where you'd be fighting me and at the same time giving me all your money. You fucking idiot.
Jack Black needs to write their song. Super Simp and Young Giga Chad.
Giga Chad.
Wham, wham, wham. In the boo. What's the country? Not Romania, but the other one, Dubai.
Dubai, yes. Well, Dubai's a city. That's in the UAE.
Dubai. Yeah, it's crazy how they take care of thieves and whatnot.
Well, but so
Chop hands off and fingers.
and this is not a judgment. It's just important to talk about.
I ain't judging. I think that's awesome.
Well,
because that's why they have low rates of crime.
Right, but there are certain freedoms that
Because
you
they're harsh.
lack. But now I don't think
yeah.
I don't think Dubai's particularly bad, but I think like Andrew Tate said about countries like Romania and others, like at least the corruption is, not hidden and you can participate in it. I think pretty much anywhere, and actually the United States I think might be one of the few places where like for entry level crimes you can't really get your way out of it here, because like you can't just, I mean maybe you can, I wouldn't know, like if you give the cop $100 you run the risk of getting charged with a worse crime, whereas there are certain countries where like if you give them $50 they'll let you go, at least the corruption is out front and center as far as Tate goes. Which I'm very excited for more Tate Confidential. I'm sure they're just chilling at home for a little while, but I guarantee they'll be starting that up again fairly soon.
That dude was locked in a 7x8 cell for almost 5 months.
Yep. I'm shocked that they let him out. I thought they were going to get him for the whole 180 days, but apparently not the entire justice system.
Well, apparently the U.S. Embassy was going to step in, and as soon as that happened, it was
I didn't hear
it was
about
like
that.
a week.
I had heard that the brothers just appealed the decision to keep them detained for longer, but that would make sense. Probably at the behest of Andrew Tate's American lawyer, who's like, okay, enough is enough.
Which, that should have just came about in the first place.
It should have, but Andrew Tate and Trump are kind of related in this way, and you're seeing, I'm 100%, and it's worth noting that Andrew Tate agrees with this statement, absolutely investigate if you think they're guilty of human trafficking. Absolutely investigate, and they were being investigated. Even maybe the 30-day detainment, probably not even, though.
Like almost 180 days. It was like what 100.
Well, but the thing of it is, and I understand it's different in Romania, but here, like, they weren't charged with a crime, and everybody who's detracted said like, "Oh yeah, but they're flight risk." It's like, okay,
is that why they left America?
Hmm?
Is that why they left America? I thought.
Well, they left America as children. I think you're talking about the UK.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought maybe before they blew up they lived here, but apparently they lived in Romania for a long time.
Well, so what happened was they, believe it or not.
I figured you would know.
Oh, I do know. Believe it or not, where did he live? Hang on, I gotta look this up because Andrew Tate grew up in Indiana. I'm not making that up.
What the hell?
In fact, if you look at the website, I looked it up. If you look at the I forget the name of the Indiana State chess tournament champions and all that. If you go to the list, you can find his father and him on the various age groups.
His father.
Let's see, early life. So he was born in Washington, D.C., and he grew up in Goshen, Indiana.
Whoa. Goshen?
Which is it's up north, but in Elkhart County.
Elkhart?
Yep. So it's up north there. But yeah, he grew up in Goshen, Indiana. I thought that was funny because I was listening to him on a podcast once, and he said, "Growing up in Indiana," I said, "The fuck did he just say?"
It's like you're telling me people from Indiana can get rich.
Well,
that isn't in politics.
He got rich way after leaving the States. But so I think he was 11 or 12, he said, when his parents split up and his mom was English. So they moved to the UK, and then they didn't even start to blow up. Tate started fighting at about, I think he said, I believe he said he started training at 16, and I think he had his first fight at 18 or 19. But then they started getting into the cam business, and there was an incident involving a girl who said that she was assaulted by them, and the cops came in England. The cops came, blah 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 blah. They were detained. All their shit was taken, and describes a situation where basically the cops were fishing for anything because they didn't really have much to stand on because there was no evidence of physical harm whatsoever on the girl. This is all according to Tate, by the way, because obviously I wasn't there. But they were fishing for a crime, and he said, well, I don't like that because, it's like I wasn't doing anything illegal, but I don't like the fact that I live in a place where just because somebody doesn't like me, they can sick the cops on me, and then they're just going to dig and dig and dig and dig and dig until they find some sort of technicality, which I can understand to a certain extent. And then he was talking to somebody who I can't remember, and they were telling him about how in Eastern Europe, it's not like that here. The laws in Romania are such that like there has to be physical evidence and it has to be reported within, I can't remember the timeline, but it's a reasonable window, but it's a fairly tight window. So like if something actually happened, like you have plenty of time to report it, but it's not something you can go back 5 years later and say that something happened. So yeah, that's essentially why they moved to Romania. But I'm telling you, right, and Tate was already planning on moving to Dubai permanently. He was trying to find housing to build. But I think it's a pretty safe bet that they're going to move to Dubai permanently.
Well, they did say they held no ill will against the Romanian
That's what they said, yeah. I saw him say that.
I'm assuming that they probably have lost confidence.
Well, maybe not, though, because if justice prevails in the end, I think it's one of those things where now what I would like to know.
How is justice going to prevail from here? Because if that's true,
they were still wrong.
A judge let them sit in a 7x8 cell for what? Almost 5 months.
Well, what's funny is I heard, I think you're going to find Andrew Tate to be a much more religious person now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, and he was
allowed the Quran in there, wasn't he?
Yeah. He said basically all he did was work out and read the Quran. There was somebody who, I don't know how close of a friend he is, but I've seen him hanging around Tate before, and he was saying that he had spoken to Tate, and he said that Andrew was talking about how he's almost grateful for the experience because he's had no choice but to sit down and just read the Quran.
Well, and he went in very strong in his faith. Can you imagine now?
Yeah, I mean, when that's all you really have time to do. I mean, like there's something to that because there's a lot of people who go to prison and find religion because it's one of the
so annoying.
Well, but it's one of the few things you have to pass the time. So, like, you get to sit there and like you get to think about it all day.
Well, ever since I've been off Facebook, I've noticed a lot of things that I don't see, and that's people who get out of prison and immediately become religious. You go, oh yeah, God got me out of here. I'm like, no, you did that work program.
Except some people find Norse paganism and take it a little too literally.
Look, if you find a good message in anything, take it.
I was just thinking about it on the way here, man. I was like, man, I really wish I could be religious. I really wish I could. I just can't do it.
My mind won't work that way.
Yeah, I just can't.
I'm always looking for the bad.
It's not even the bad. I'm just like,
Well, according to today, bad is truth. Truth is bad.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
But it's quite funny, though, because I know quite a few people who from various religions are very devout in their faith, and it's like, I think these are some of the best people I know. It's just not, I just can't do it.
And I'm not saying all religious people are great.
No, there's very few of them. Yeah, but they're like, because being religious should be hard work. And a lot of people I've met over the years just phone it in. Like, oh yeah, I go to church 1 day a week. It's fine. I've met people that go to church 3 days a week, and the only reason they go 3 days a week is because that's when the services are. Like, if there were more, they would go. Like, they're all about that Bible, but there are also some. Now, not all of them.
But what do we do? If we work 40 hours a week, you sleep 40
Oh,
hours
I mean,
a week.
I
sleep. No, I'm saying like people act like it's too much to go once or twice or something like that.
No, it's not.
And I'm like, you can go as much as you want, if they're open.
Well, it's one of those things, though. It's just, if it's important to you, you make time for it. It's the same way people who work all the time and still make time to go to the gym. It's like, you've got time. I actually quantified it out because I can't remember who it was.
You have time. Like, people think that you need to go somewhere for a couple hours. In all reality, a half an hour to 45 minutes is enough.
It's plenty. It's better than 0. If you can get to the gym for 20 minutes, that's 20 more minutes than if you didn't go.
Progress is progress.
Yeah, and it's not a secret, but that's one thing that I hear people say all the time that I find really annoying. And I get it, kids make it a lot more complicated, but this guy,
yes, they do.
But it just comes down to what's important. And people who don't have kids have 0 excuse.
Had a kid today get mad at the other and take a shoe and throw it at their face at full force.
Ooh.
Right on the nose.
Ooh. Blood?
No blood, believe it or not. No bruising either because I got ice. I'm just saying, kids are fucking complicated. And they're not even mean kids. I was like, Jesus, man, if you're going to fucking go straight to 10, that's scary.
No, and I guess my point being, I actually worked it out. I forget, it was a TikTok I saw, and I can't remember who it was. It was Arnold. That's who it was. It was Arnold.
Is it Arnold?
He's like, you're going to tell me you don't have time? You have all the time in the world. He's like, okay, how many hours in a day? There's 24 hours in a day. Let's say you work 8 hours. Most people work 8 hours. Let's say you have an hour commute. So that's 9, 10. That's 10 hours. You still have 14 hours. You have to sleep for 8. So that leaves 6 hours. You have 6 hours. Are you telling me you can't go to the gym in 6 hours? Come on. Don't give me that bullshit. And I'm like, fuck, when he puts it like that.
Just give it to me, baby.
Oh, and I took it a step further. It's like, okay, got 6 hours. Let's say an hour to prepare and eat dinner. I'll be generous, an hour and a half. So that leaves you 4.5 hours. I mean, come on. And I'm talking out my ass right now because if you follow my Instagram, you know that I work out fairly often. But this is fucking sad. I was sick, and then I went to the gym, and then I overdid it on my calf raises and pulled a muscle in my fucking ankle. So I'm just now walking normal.
Oh, man.
And what's funny is while I was doing it, it didn't hurt, but I felt like it was like, it's not even something, because I've lifted that weight before. It just, I don't know if I was doing it wrong or I don't know, but I was like, this doesn't feel right. And did I stop? No. I was a fucking idiot. But, figured out the next day. I was like, ow.
You kept pushing yourself like a child.
Pushing yourself like a child?
What? That's supposed to be a Trunks reference to when he found out that the reason Vegeta stopped training so hard in the hyperbolic time chamber, and he just kept pushing forward like a little child. My brain did not work correct on that one. This is going to be a bad one.
Yeah, but we set the bar so high with the previous one.
But the Trump indictment, I mean, well, what do we really got to say about it? Not much. It's not going to work.
It smells like bullshit.
Even if you have something, you don't have something.
You don't have anything of substance. I don't think you have enough for a felony.
And if you guys are trying to say 34 felonies, that pretty much all state the same thing.
Well, I think they're doing that mostly for headlines so they can say, if Trump's convicted, on all counts, this could be 124 years in prison, which is ridiculous. No judge would sentence him to 124 years for a Class E felony. Come
Without
on.
Political fallout. Nuclear fallout.
Nobody would. So you're telling me that a rapist can get 10 years, but some guy who falsified business records gets over 100?
Or, just
off.
as what we were talking about last time, Ketanji Brown, the newest, what is she?
Supreme Court Justice?
Supreme Court Justice. The House,
No.
she was not, she was confirmed.
Oh, she is in the Supreme Court. Okay.
So when we were talking about her giving
Oh, yes. That.
CMs, I'm not going to say, or
Chomos.
pedos. There you go.
Chomos.
So her not giving maximum sentences out to people with certain types of pornography.
Because they already had it on the one.
They had it on the one, and there was no need to have a felony for each individual tape.
See, that's one of the few examples of where I can think of, yeah, you probably should.
That's the kind of exact same thing we're dealing right now with the Donald Trump and,
But it's the opposite.
Indictment. No, I mean like 34 of
Oh, that's exactly
similar
what he's doing.
things.
That is the definition of throwing pasta at the wall and just seeing what sticks. Because now Trump's defense attorneys are going to have to defend him on every single one of those counts, even though they're the same fucking thing.
Like that pasta ain't done boiling, baby.
Well, so the thing of it is, though, and this is why, and any lawyers that ever watch this, correct me if I'm wrong, that's why the prosecutor was kind of dumb, because if he can defend against one of these counts, then he can pretty well defend against all of them, I would think.
But he can't.
How long have we been going?
I don't know. Let's see.
You got to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, why does it do that 1 hour?
1 hour?
We can wrap up soon.
Yeah, I think there's not much to say on this.
Nothing much to say, then you're high above the mucky mug. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
With karate, I'll kick your ass.
From here to
Right over there.
Oh yeah, motherfucker.
I'm gonna kick your fucking dairy hair. Yeah, yeah. Oh, gotta love Tenacious D.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Speaking of Tiananmen Square,
Tiananmen.
we are, after this, going to be recording a premium episode of AIP Plus. We're going to be talking about China. We're going to be talking about TikTok.
That's where I'm saving all my energy for.
And we're going to be talking about censorship and
Beef
other
jerky.
Beef jerky. Well, we already talked about beef jerky.
It's shitting with the door open.
Is this Slim Jim beef jerky? Yeah, technically.
I mean, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
jerky and it's beef.
It's water. It's pork. Beef. Mechanically separated. Chicken. Water. Textured soy. I didn't know they had soy. Oh, textured soy flour. I can't read. Corn syrup. They put corn syrup in this.
They put corn syrup in everything, man.
Paprika. Hydrolyzed lactulaclan. Contains soy. Soy boy. It's like, shouldn't it say contains meat?
Right.
I mean,
Not vegan.
it's not vegan. These little mini ones, they really hit the spot. You put it in your mouth and chew it.
Is that what you imagined?
Imagine. All right, people. Jake is going to wrap us up, and this will be another podcast to you. Because we got stuff to rap about.
Yeah.
Like this pork in my hand.
You got a
That
plan?
sounds weird. Yeah, you got to go back and forth.
Actually, that'd be a really fun game. Is like you freestyle rap, but you go back and forth.
Oh, that's difficult.
It's easier than doing it by yourself.
Yeah, it's like sitting in the chair.
Combing through my hair.
I was thinking, man, over there.
Why the fuck you gotta stare?
I don't have anything.
I just made you say underwear. Anyway, thank you for enjoying this episode of the Average Intelligence Podcast, even though you probably didn't. Hopefully you're a little bit less average and a little bit more intelligent, but you know you love us. Can't figure out why, but 525 of you do, so... As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, except maybe this one. This one kind of sucked. Send it to Trump.
Yeah, it's pro-Trump.
And, tell them about OMG CBD a little bit.
OMG CBD, located in Columbus, Indiana, is a CBD store for all your needs.
OMG needs, CBD needs.
Low eyes. Just saying.
Low eyes.
Yeah, that's what they call that. Like when people get high.
Oh, I didn't know that because I don't get high.
But I didn't know that until like not even that long ago.
I've never met Tally before in my life.
Wanna get high? Don't forget to bring a towel. So yes, located in Columbus, Indiana. Google it. Leave us a review.
Google it.
But
Google it
that
and get
is
high.
another one. And goodbye. We'll see you next week.
Get out. Leave. Go home. You're wasting your time. You should be doing something productive. Do push-ups.